5 critical issues in maintaining your heavy equipment with presenter Scott Drusella from IBM Global. Just a couple of housekeeping items before we get started. Everyone will be in listen-only mode, so if you have questions, please type them into the questions box on the screen, and we will address them at the end of the session. If you need to step away, please do not put your phone on hold. If you have hold music, it will play for all the attendees. You are already on mute. This webinar will be recorded, and we will email out a copy to everyone within a few days. I will now turn it over to you, Scott.
Thanks, Krista. Appreciate it. Well, welcome, everyone. I also appreciate your time today, and we will make this interesting for you in terms of any challenges you may be encountering in managing your heavy equipment, and some options that you may not know about in terms of working more closely with it through the Timberline, your Sage suite. So just my background, I've been, I worked for Timberline and Sage for over 20 years, and I've been working in the equipment area for the last 7 years with IBM Global. And so I have a pretty good background in this area. Hang on just 1 second. There we go. For our agenda today, just a little bit about IBM Global, and then we'll get into why this product that we're going to be talking a little bit about today, and I'll be showing you near the end of the presentation a product called Equipment Maintenance. Why it exists, and some of the benefits of it. Then we'll talk a little bit about what those 5 critical challenges are that I've run into as I've worked with companies in having an effective maintenance program for their equipment. And then finally, we'll run through equipment maintenance in a quick little overview demo, so you get a little bit of a sense about what the product can do for you. So IBM Global. If you've been around a while, you may have heard of a product or a company called Enabling. That was our old company name. 2-3 years ago, we switched over to IBM Global. Same company, same people, just different name. We're a Sage 300 CRE third-party developer. The company in the past has developed applications such as the POID system that Sage uses today. We also developed a Sage, an integration between Sage CRM and the CRE 300 product. And then we've had the equipment maintenance and an add-on product to equipment maintenance called Equipment Planner, which I'll touch on as well. Those are our existing products. We've got over 100 users of the maintenance product out there among the Sage users, and we work through Accordant and other Sage partners in terms of selling and supporting the product. So let's talk a little bit about some of these critical challenges. And again, this is based on my experience of working with companies who use equipment cost and have have a fleet of equipment. Some of the issues that they've run into, or I've seen them run into, and how we've been able to help them in many regards with equipment maintenance. First of all is an accurate scheduling of services. It's a bit scary, actually, in terms of how a lot of companies deal with management of their maintenance for their equipment. An accurate scheduling of the services, as you would know, is it's extremely critical to the long-term running and operation of an asset such as your heavy equipment. And a lot of companies, it ranges anywhere from when the service is due in someone's head, to a whiteboard, to maybe a Excel spreadsheet where they're trying to track the services for the various equipment. And all of them, of course, have issues in terms of being able to stay on top of the preventive maintenance services and getting them done efficiently. Another area that companies have difficulty with is not having a work order system, an efficient work order system, so that these services can be tracked, the tasks assigned to the mechanics to do, capturing any information coming back from the mechanics on the work that they're doing on the equipment, obviously what parts are needed and used to be replaced. All this can be handled through a work order system that keeps all of that lined up and the company being on top of that. Disciplined equipment maintenance processes. This is really covers and touches on a lot of areas, but one of the areas I see that is always a challenge is getting information from the field, such as any kinds of issues that the operator may encounter with the equipment. It can range from something as simple as wiper blades being broken, or some symptom that they're encountering with the piece of equipment that needs to be reported. The other area that I see that companies struggle with is getting the meter readings reported so that the maintenance staff can stay on top of when those services are due to be done. So this would be reporting of miles and hours typically, and getting those back into the system so someone can be monitoring that seems to be a real difficulty for a lot of companies. If they are using a system, some kind of a software application to handle their maintenance, a lot of times the systems are very complicated and difficult to use. And as we all know, shop people a lot of times don't have the most nimble fingers, and scrolling around, clicking around in a lot of areas can be challenging, and if it's too hard to use, they're just not going to use it, bottom line. So systems need to be easy to use. And finally, reporting, management reporting, and ultimately taking action. I mean, the whole goal of this is tracking costs, tracking activity, repairs, etc. on equipment, so that someone can use that information to be able to make decisions about whether that piece of equipment needs to be kept or not, or whether it needs to be disposed of, sold, etc., when it needs to be replaced. So reporting on all that and getting that information into a form that someone can easily use to be able to make some of these kinds of decisions is another area I see that's lacking in a lot of companies. So from there, let's talk a little bit about the product itself, equipment maintenance. So the reason that equipment maintenance was developed in the first place was the fact that the SAGE equipment management suite, which includes equipment cost is the core piece there, but also the integration that it has with some of the other applications within Timberline. There was that all works extremely well. There's tracking costs, getting that information into the system, that capability is there. But it's missing one core piece, and that is the ability to maintain or manage the maintenance of the equipment. And if you've got equipment costs, which I assume you all do, you kind of know what I'm talking about there. What equipment cost really lacks to really be a complete system is that there's, again, no scheduling capabilities, no work order capabilities, and the reporting is not, while you can certainly report on costs on the equipment, there's nothing that's specifically, no reporting specific on maintenance. So you can see the number and types of repair work, for instance, that is on a piece of equipment. And a solution needs to be integrated with the rest of the suite. And as you'll see, we'll talk about that in just a second in terms of how and what integration that equipment maintenance has with the rest of the Sage 300 suite. And finally, in designing and putting together this system, we really wanted to make this straightforward and very easy to use. As I mentioned, if it's not easy to use, people are just not going to use it. So that was another real objective and goal of ours. So in terms of integration, which is really one of the real reasons people want to look at equipment maintenance, we've got several touch points between the product and various other applications in the suite. Obviously, first of all, is the equipment cost. And as you'll see in the demo, we read all of your equipment types, your equipment ID numbers, and equipment cost codes, as well as if you had our equipment planner piece, you can also utilize revenue rate tables that you set up in equipment costs for billing purposes. So none of that, none of your equipment has to be reset up in equipment maintenance. We're reading all of that information directly out of equipment costs. So any changes that are made there are reflected in the maintenance module. Another, and in fact, I'll just mention, equipment cost is required for maintenance to be in place. This is specifically a solution that is designed for the Sage 300 suite. You have some very nice two-way integration between EM and the purchasing and inventory options as well. Out of EM, any parts that are needed for your services, requisitions can automatically be generated and sent over to the POIV system, saying I need this part, and this is how, and this number of that part for each individual work order that's generated. We also, the invoice data coming back from POIV. So as I've indicated there, it is a two-way integration. So once the invoice is paid, that information flows back onto the work order automatically, so you get the actual costs coming off the invoice and attached to that particular work order, and then of course that will be part of your management reporting coming out of EM. We also bring back over the detail off the purchase orders, so that's also available within EM, showing on the work order. And we also utilize the item table in terms of setting up your parts. Once you get them set up in the item table in the POIV system, that's our database for parts.
Thank you.
And on the AP side, we have some two-way integration there. We're reading the vendor information in EM and displaying that, and then we do have as I'll show you in a little while, we do have an invoice entry system in EM, so that any invoices related to the shop for parts or any outside services that you have, we will send that over to AP in terms of in the form of a AP import file. Similarly, with payroll, we read employee information out of payroll for setting up your mechanic database in EM. We also bring in payroll time type setup information is also available on our timesheet, which is available in EM and for the shop, and that timesheet information then can get sent back over to payroll in terms of a payroll import file. We read job information and job cost code information in EM for anything that's going to be tied to a job, and then finally we integrate with AR for billing purposes through, as I mentioned, the equipment planner, where you can capture hours on equipment and use the revenue rate table and send that information to billing or to AR. All right, let me switch gears here a little bit and let me jump into the product. All right, hopefully everyone can see my screen. Okay, so I'm going to run just through, as I said, this is going to be just kind of an overview of the system. I'm not going to get into all kinds of detail with it today, just to give you a little taste of what the system has as far as its major capabilities. I'm going to start off with our scheduling capability in the system. So this left-hand panel here is going to display all of your equipment coming out of equipment cost. We can filter this equipment for any equipment that's not currently being used. If you mothballed some equipment or you're no longer using it, we can filter that equipment out of the system. Right now we're looking at a calendar, so this would display any calendar or date-based services. You can schedule those services on the calendar, and as those dates approach, then those services will pop up on a list for you. These and I'll show you the. I'm going to do that right now. We also have, of course, your schedules that pertain to what we call meters, which would be your hours or miles. So that it's a little bit different look to it, but this is where you would be able to track across the top, whether you're looking at hours or miles. This would indicate, the meter readings coming from off your equipment. The two little red arrows indicates where the current meter reading is, and anything out to the right in this first row here are any upcoming scheduled services, is what these little folders indicate here. And then we also track, statuses of the service as it moves through. The work orders being created, when it's being worked on, completed, and canceled. Those would all have icons that would display in those appropriate rows. These little icons across the middle of the screen here, these are the services themselves. Now, these are, we've labeled them here so they're easy to follow. These would be set up around your parameters, your specifications and requirements for your particular services. So this is a 250-hour service for a backhoe. These services would have all of the tasks that the mechanic would be performing for a 250-hour service on in this case, a backhoe. And of course, all of the parts that would be replaced as well, or anything else associated with that particular service. It's very easy to schedule services, and so if I wanted to schedule this service, for instance, at 9,100 hours. You can see the icon just popped up there at 9,100 hours in this case. And you would only need to manually schedule services the very first time or the next time that they are due to be done. From then on, the system will automatically once the service is completed, it will automatically reschedule that based on the sequence or the interval number of hours or miles that service has in between this service and the next one that would be performed. So you would never have to continually go in here and schedule the services. They will be rescheduled automatically for you. And as you can see, we have several services here for our back house. For date-based services, you can schedule the same way, or it's even easier here where you can just drag and drop a service on a particular date. And we color code the statuses on the calendar, so you will be able to tell just by glancing at what the status of those services are. Red ones, of course, are our overdue services, which I've got a few here, which alerts the shop foreman that someone needs to get in gear there. All right, moving on. As I mentioned, intermeter readings is quite a challenge for a lot of companies. We offer various ways of entering meter readings into the system. First of all, you can use this grid to enter your equipment and the meter type, be that hours or miles. Enter your meter reading in and the date that it was performed. We track, of course, previous readings, so that that's maintained here in this grid as well. Those will pre-fill automatically. And so you can just go down line by line by line here and enter in your meter readings. That's one way of getting meter readings into the system. We also have the ability to be able to import meter readings from a spreadsheet. So we have a format defined, and you can set up a spreadsheet to be able to either enter those meter readings into that spreadsheet or import those from maybe an automatic meter reading capture the system that you may have. You can have those pre-fill the spreadsheet and then be able to import those all via the button here. And the third way we have is many of you may be using, some of you may be using the capture methodologies that Equipment Cost offers to be able to get meter readings into Equipment Cost. And once those are performed, then we can bring those meter readings, also importing those into equipment maintenance. So multiple ways of getting meter readings into the system, and once you get them into the system, then this green arrow here will post that batch, meaning that it will go out and update the schedules with those two little red arrows I showed you with the new meter readings. And so that, and as those are changed, then the services that are due to be done based on those new meter readings can then be identified through our Generate Work Orders program. This program is where, again, you would go after the meter readings have been updated and you're ready to generate your work orders for any new services. You'd be able to come in here. We do have some options down here at the bottom, one of those being Generate Requisitions when you create the work order. So if you have the POIV system and you want to automatically create those requisitions that would go into POIV to either generate purchase orders for purchasing parts, or if you're maintaining an inventory of parts, use that requisition to do a stock issue. But that can be done by automatically with that particular option checked. You click the button here, it will sweep through the entire fleet of equipment, every schedule for every piece of equipment, and show you here which ones are due to be done. And once once that's done, you can hit the button here to automatically create those work orders for you. Once the work orders have been created, we have a maintain work orders area, and this is where you would go to make any changes that you might want. When the work order is created, we automatically number it. We pull in all of the information off the service, and pre-fill several of these fields that you see in the header up here. The technician would be someone you would be able to assign. You would be able to assign that field would be blank, and you'd be able to assign the mechanic who's going to be doing the work on this particular service. We also we track the costs here in this transactions under this transactions tab. So any purchase parts, any inventory information. If it's coming from POIV, those are automatically going to be, those line items will automatically be filled out with all the cost information coming off the invoices or the stock issue. And our timesheet entries here would also flow from our timesheet program directly onto the work order, and tracking the number of hours and the cost, the labor cost for that. And that will keep a running total of your total cost here, and a breakdown of those costs summarized here for you. Once the status has been changed to completed, then it is locked down, and only an administrator would be able to change that status and open this back up and be able to make some changes to it. Our timesheets program, as I've mentioned, you have the ability to, or we have a timesheet program to be able to capture the shop hours here, and you would enter that information by work order. So you'd enter the work orders that they worked on, and the hours would fit into this into the grid over here. And as those once that's completed, you can hit this post to payroll button, and this will transfer the information onto the work order where we just saw the line item for timesheet entry. We'll transfer that information directly onto the work order, and it would also create an automatic or a payroll import file in the format that payroll will accept, that will bring over, it won't bring over cost information from here, but it does set up and send all the hours over by employee onto the that would be imported into payroll and then there. In a similar way, we would also do, you can enter your invoices here, and we bring over, as I mentioned, we bring over the vendor list is available here. We read that right directly out of AP, and you can enter then that information here, line by line off the invoice, and be able to do a post. I've already posted this one, so it's changed to unpost, but you can, this would be a post button here on the new one, and send, again, it would send the information directly onto the work order, as well as create an AP import file to be imported into AP. Now, you would, this function you would not use if you were using POIV. There you would be able to enter those invoice information directly into PO, the invoice entry function there, and that would then get written directly onto the work order coming out of DL. All right, so just a couple other things here. We have a what we call a minor fault register. What this is basically a place to be able to record and log what we term minor faults or non-urgent, repair type items. These could be anything from like broken wiper blades, headlight being out, again, non-urgent type of incidents that you would be able to record here. And the next time that, or when a work order gets generated, then for one of these pieces of equipment off this register, it's going to automatically add this to the work order, and so that the mechanic, in addition to the normal tasks that he would be assigned via the service itself, you would have this appearing on the work order, and you go ahead and fix that as well. This keeps things from falling through the cracks, little things that before they turn into big things or just annoying things that need to be addressed. I did forget one thing I wanted to show you over here in the maintain work orders area. I just wanted to show you what a printed work order looked like. Now this format that I'm going to show you is a format that we've created, and it can be changed. So if we preview the work order, it's a crystal designed report. So you can modify this, or you can create your own formats that you want to be able to use. So this is the printed format that you would have that we've created and comes with the system. So I didn't pick a very good work order here to show off, but check items would be where the tasks would be listed. The parts would be listed here, of course, and this is where those minor fault repairs would appear in this box here. There's also a place here for mechanics to be able to enter information in that they think someone that's worthy of being noted about the piece of equipment during the course of doing the service, and this information then can be entered back in on the work order, so that it then becomes a permanent record and it can be reported off it as well. All right. Last thing I just wanted to show you a little bit about, talk a little bit about, was our reports. Again, these are all crystal reports, similar, same as Timberline, so they can be modified or new ones generated. So we have an equipment service history with all of the detail associated with it. So this allows you to specify either in an individual piece of equipment or a range of equipment that you want to appear in the report, and you'd set up a date range as well that you want the report to cover. So typically, something like this could be run once a month, but usually for certain you'd want to run it annually, either in its detail form or in a more summarized form here, to be able to see exactly what work was done on each piece of equipment. Each work order will be listed with all of the detail and including the cost information associated with it. So at the end of the year, you can get the exact amount of cost you had in maintaining a particular piece of equipment, and that's where it's valuable information for management to be able then to determine whether this piece of equipment really is on its way out, it's failing more often, and it really is something we need to replace. All right, I think from I think that pretty much covers everything. Oh, I was going to mention our equipment planner add-on. So this is an add-on to equipment maintenance, and this allows you to be able to schedule equipment by date here and by job. So oftentimes this is what is done on a big whiteboard somewhere, and so this you can show all of your equipment, you can show, or you can display it by type, and then you can enter in, the dates you want that piece of equipment and set up a tracking record for it, assign a job, and then set up your rate tables and meter types, etc., and be able then to generate transactions, which in this case would be hours that the piece of equipment was on the job, and then you can generate billings from this for your equipment. So this allows you to go out into the future and be able to schedule your equipment. All right. Okay, I think, Krista, that
Time for questions?
Finishes it for me, but I'm ready for any questions that anybody might have.
Okay, everyone, if you have any questions, please type them into the questions box on the screen. We'll be happy to answer them for you. Right now, we don't have any.
Okay.
Give people a minute in case they're typing.
Maybe I just did such a great job, and there's no questions.
That is very possible.
I bored them to death. So.
Okay, we have a question. Is this integrated into every computer or certain ones?
The software is sold exactly the way that Sage, your Sage product is sold. It is a concurrent use model. So you can and you would buy it by the number of uses that you anticipated needing. If you had, and usually 2 to 3 uses for most companies is adequate. It would be installed on your server, the same server that you have your Sage software installed on, and then you would also install it then on the individual workstations. And again, you can install it on as many workstations as you want, but you would be limited to the number of uses in terms of the number of people who are logged in to the program by whatever you purchased. Hopefully that answers the question, but it's very simple. It's the same model as your Sage software is deployed.
Okay. Does Equipment Tracker print out reports?
Well, not directly. There is no reporting directly out of the planner module. There is and I suppose what they're probably looking for maybe is the printing of the spreadsheet or that Gantt chart view, and that can be printed out just as a screen print if you want. A lot of companies will do that, but there's no specific reports that come out of that system.
Okay, in tracking hours, what hours do you use? Daily hours such as 8 or total hours on machines?
Would be total hours. Our grid that I showed you in the scheduling area is a total hour accumulation. Now, if there is the capability within equipment cost to be able to enter hours in on a daily basis, this the total hours that were run for that particular day, and then have that be accumulate or be added to what is existing for that piece of equipment, so that you do get a total hour. So there's a field in equipment cost that houses a total number of hours or miles for that piece of equipment. You can also set up within equipment cost custom entries for meters. So and in that, with those fields, you can, or when you set those up, you can set it up to be an accumulation to show total hours, or if you want to enter it in on a daily basis, you will add it to that. Jeff, do you want to make any comments on that?
No, that was great.
Okay.
Yep, that was the miscellaneous sheets. That's correct.
Yep. Very good.
Okay. Next question is, does the history stay on each equipment forever, or does it drop off?
The history is there forever, as long as you want it. So again, the entries that you make are held in the database, and that back history is always there.
In the beginning, did you say we will be getting the information sent to us? Yes, I can send you this information. I'm going to send everyone the recording of today's presentation as well. Any other questions? Okay, if you think of something after, I will definitely include all of our information in the email, and you can feel free to reach out to us at any time. Thank you again for attending today's session. Have a great day, everyone.
Thanks, Krista. Thanks, everybody.